Welcome to another crochet tutorial with Cozy Rosie UK. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make the Elizabeth stitch, this beautifully textured stitch which looks a lot more complicated than it actually is. By the end of today's video you'll be able to complete the Elizabeth stitch, which is also known as the mini bean stitch, and you can go on to complete your very own Elizabeth stitch infinity scarf. I'll pop the link below to my blog post where you can find that free pattern. Once you've completed this tutorial you'll be good to go. Before we get started, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss out on another one of my crochet tutorials or another of my free patterns either. So let's grab those materials that we need to get started. I'm going to be using this Paintbox yarns, which is a Simply Chunky and the appropriate hook size. So this is a 6mm crochet hook to go with this chunky yarn. Let's just go by what the yarn label says. So if you've got a worsted weight yarn or a Aran weight yarn, you'll probably need a 5mm crochet hook, or a double knit yarn, you'll use a 4mm crochet hook. You'll also need a darning needle to weave in any of those ends, and of course some scissors just to snip as we go as well. So let's get started. So the first thing that we're going to do is make our slip knot and pop that onto the hook. I'll drop a link below for my video on how I do my my slip knot and chain. So with our working yarn, not our tail, we're going to do a chain in multiples of 2. So the Elizabeth stitch is actually worked over 2 stitches. So for each stitch that we want to create, we need to chain 2, but then we need to do a turning chain of 2 as well. So we add an extra 3 on. So we're going to do a chain of 13. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So we're going to work in the 3rd chain from the hook, which gives us our turning chain of 2. And we're going to start by just inserting our hook under that top loop of the chain, yarn over to bring a loop up. So we're starting it off as if we would for a double crochet or a single crochet in US terms. We're then going to yarn over, insert that hook back into the same chain space. We're going to yarn over, bring a 4th loop up, yarn over and pull through all 4 loops, sorry, and then chain 1 to complete that stitch. Now that chain 1 kind of works for that chain there, so we're not going to work into that one. We're going to skip that chain and work into that next one, just inserting it under that 1st loop of the chain. We're going to yarn over to bring that 1st loop up, yarn over and then go straight back into that same chain you just worked into, yarn over, and you'll bring up your 4th loop, so you have 4 loops on your hook. We're going to yarn over and pull through all 4 loops. You'll see I pull down ever so slightly there, and then we just chain 1 to complete that stitch. We're going to skip that next chain and work into the next one, yarn over to bring that 1st loop up, yarn over and reinsert that hook, bring that loop back up before we yarn over and pull through all 4 loops on our hook and chain 1. We're going to skip that next one and work into that next one there. So insert the hook, yarn over to bring a loop up, yarn over, reinsert that hook, yarn over to bring that loop back up. You will have 4 loops on your hook. We're yarning over, pull through all 4 and chain 1. So that's 4 Elizabeth stitches completed already. So we're going to skip that next one, go into the next one there, yarn over to bring our 1st loop up, yarn over and reinsert, yarn over to bring that 4th loop up, yarn over to pull through all 4 loops on our hook, and then chain 1 to finish. We're going to skip that and work into our last chain. So we insert the hook, yarn over to bring a loop up, yarn over and work into that same chain again, bring your 4th loop up, yarn over, pull through, okay, and chain 1 to complete. So there's our 1st row completed. It doesn't look like much, I'm not going to lie, but by the time you've done your 2nd row, you'll be a lot happier with it, I assure you. So our turning chain is 2, but we've already done 1. So we're just going to do another chain on top of there. So that gives us our chain 2 before we turn. Now the important bit is where we put our hook to start the next row. And we actually need to work into this space here. Let me see if I can find, I'll use my darning needle just to show you. So you can see you've got this really inviting space that looks like you'd love to work in there. But actually we need to go in between or just behind that Elizabeth stitch we did on the last row. So it's that hole we want to work into. So I actually pull mine a little bit apart so I can make sure that I'm going into that stitch there, yarn over to bring that loop up, yarn over, insert your hook, bring that loop up, you've got your 4 loops, yarn over, pull through and chain 1. So then the next one is not this hole, it's that little hole there. It's the hole between the chain actually, but from the previous row. So make sure you've got your 4 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through. And remember to chain 1 in between, so we've got those spaces to work into on the next row. So again, it's just that space in between, right next to your Elizabeth kind of puff bit before. So bring that loop up, yarn over, going into that same space again, pull through all 4 and chain 1. Again, it's just kind of hiding just behind the stitch, but it's so easy to go into that one. You can work into that hole, but it will make your, stitches stand straight, which is a whole other thing. So again, we're going to work into that hole there, yarn over, bring your loop up, yarn over straight back into that same space, yarn over, bring your 4th loop up, pull through all 4 loops and chain 1. Now when you reach the end, you're going to work again into that space between your chain, your original starting chain and your Elizabeth stitch. So insert your hook and complete your Elizabeth stitch and chain 1 to complete that stitch and that row. And you can see that it's already starting to make that beautiful texture. So remember, we've already done that first chain, so we're just going to chain 1 again before we turn, and straight away we're going into that space, not this one. And you can just continue to practice this stitch if you'd like, or you can put this new technique into practice straight away and go and make yourself one of these beautiful Elizabeth stitch crochet cows. As I said, I'll pop the link below in the description box for you so that you can go and complete one of those projects as well. It's very rhythmic, this stitch, so you can get quite quick at it as well, which is quite good fun. So we'll get to this end so we can see. So again, we need to make sure that we're working into that space between that chain 2. There we go, to give us our nice square edge. There we go. And there we have the Elizabeth stitch. Beautiful textured stitch that you can really make the most of. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. As I said, I'll pop the description below so you can go and find that free crochet pattern and you can practice making your own Elizabeth stitch cowl. This is a nice long cowl, there's quite a lot of it. But it really does work up and it's quite a squishy texture as well as being really a very elasticated fabric as well. So it really is absolutely stunning. Don't forget to give don't forget to give this tutorial a thumbs up if you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you again very soon for another crochet tutorial with Cozy Rosie UK.